Hi, welcome to Maggie Chats Books. Today I'm going to do my top books of 2017 so far. These are the books that I read from the 1st of January to the 30th of June. I had 6 books I gave 5 stars to, so I'll be going over those. And then I have 4 honorable mentions. These are books that I gave about 4.5 stars to that I really enjoyed as well and feel like they need to be mentioned. So the first book that I read that was 5 stars was All the Light We Cannot See by Anthony Doerr. This book is a fictional account of World War II. We follow a young girl who is blind in France and her father, as well as a brother and sister from Germany. And it's a difficult book to read, a lot of emotion, but it also shows the impact in a different level than just on the battlefield. So I really recommend this book. It was a good one. The next book that I read was The Martian. I know, and this one is by Wier. This book, sometimes people love it or they hate it. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a great science fiction novel. The kind that I like, because I like when it's humans dealing with something that we haven't seen before. I thought the research in this was good. It made it very believable. So I like this book. I also like the movie. Gave this one 5 stars. The next book that I read was actually a speech that was given by Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie, and this is We Should All Be Feminists. This book is really good. It's also the speech that she gave, and you can see it on YouTube. I think it touches a lot of subjects. It gives a different angle to feminism, and I think it describes feminism in the best way possible, and that it's not an angry thing to be a feminist. It is very natural, and it should be something that, as she says, shared by everyone. Great book. I also recommend watching the video on this one because it's really, really good. So my next one is one that I just talked about recently, and this is One by Sarah Crossan. This is the first book I read by Sarah Crossan. It is a fictional book as well, and it follows 2 young ladies who are conjoined twins. They are in their teens and just beginning school. This book is very emotional. It is so believable. You can also tell this author did her research on the issues with conjoined twins and the things that they have to deal with on a day-to-day basis. But she also made them very human, and it wasn't just about the fact that they were conjoined. A lot about friendships and their relationship with each other. Really good book, and I did like her writing style. It's written in a diary format, so I'm going to look at other books that she's written. I think it was very well done. My next book is one that I just talked about and I read in June, and that was The Gender Games by Juno Dawson. This is a book pretty much about gender and how we deal with gender every day, how we assign gender to children immediately, and a really thought-provoking book. Makes you think of how you interact with people due to their appearance. So this, I think, is one of the best books of the year, and I know a lot of people have enjoyed this too. As I said before, I'm not sure you can get it in the U.S. currently, so Book Depository has it. And I'll link all the books below, so if anybody wants to get them, they can get them. And then my last 5-star book was also one that I read in June. It was My Brother's Husband by Gengoroh, Tagame, and I know I'm saying that wrong, and I'm sorry I cannot find anywhere where somebody has said this name correctly. This is a manga book, and it's about a gentleman here. His name is Mike, who has just lost his husband, and he lives in Canada. So he goes to Japan to make a connection with his husband's twin brother, and his twin brother also has a daughter. This book is about dealing with things that you're not comfortable with. It is also how a child accepts things for what they are without questioning, if you will. She's just so happy to have an uncle that she embraces him. It takes a while for the brother to embrace him. And it has, I think, very well thought out characters. Really, really good book. It's all in black and white, nice graphics and everything like that. It's really enjoyed this book, and that was my first manga I read, so that was a pleasant surprise. Next are my 4 honorable mentions. These are books that I gave 4.5 or more stars to. They weren't quite 5-star books to me, but I think they deserve a mention. And that is, the first one was an audiobook I listened to. It's Zoo by James Patterson. This is a story, a science fiction story, where animals are negatively impacted by environmental changes that are human caused. And they react, as I said, very negatively, and it's how the world as a whole deals with this change in the animals. There's a big political statement in it. You can see agendas being different for different people, and it really made you think, what would happen if something, how would people react if something like that really happened? I really found it intriguing. The audiobook is very, very good. I have not read the actual hardback book or the paperback book, so do recommend that one. My next book, honorable mention, is Tom Mitchell's The Penguin Lesson. This book is a nonfiction book. Tom was a young teacher at a college in Argentina. He is originally from Britain. He went there to teach, kind of explore the world, and when he's on vacation, he finds a penguin. This is around in the 1970s, and he brings the penguin back to live with him at the college that he's teaching at because he cannot return it to the wild. You learn a lot about penguins. You learn a lot about how this animal that you wouldn't think has much of a personality really impacted a lot of people. It's a beautiful, beautiful story. I just found this by chance and really enjoyed this one. I think it's great. My next book was a ebook. It's Upstairs at the White House, My Life with the First Ladies, and it's written by J.B. West with Lynn Kotz. This story is a nonfiction book. J.B. West was the usher at the White House from the time that FDR was in the White House until the Nixons, I believe. And his dealings every day were with the First Ladies. There's so much history in this book. I just found it fascinating. All the things that they have to do. And their role, the usher's role, is loyal to the office of the president and the House, not the actual people. But he deals mostly with the First Ladies. And you learn a lot about how they interacted, how the White House was at one point a hazardous building to live in, and the Trumans had to move out so it could be renovated. You learn a lot about the decorating styles. You also learn a lot about the First Lady's personality. I thought it was a great book. The gentleman, J.B. West, died in 1983, so this book is written quite a while ago, but it's just been re-released, I think, last year. Recommend that one if you like the history kind of thing, backstory of the White House. And then my last honorable mention is The Girl with All the Gifts by M.R. Carey. This book is a science fiction book. It has to do with a disease that's pretty much wiped out most of the world and turned those with the disease into a zombie-like character with a twist. And I thought this one was really well done in a market now that's just saturated with zombie and pandemic type books. It is told from a girl's point of view who has been impacted by the disease. And I don't want to give too much away if you haven't seen it. It's also been made into a movie, and the movie was really, really well done. I know there's a prequel to this book called The Boy on the Bridge, but I haven't read that one yet. But I do recommend this book, and I will be reading the prequel. So that's my favorite books of 2017 so far. I'm kind of anxious to see how they will stack up against the books that I read in the latter part of the year. I really enjoyed quite a few books, and I have a lot of 4-star books as well, so this has been a good reading year for me. Please let me know if you have found any of these to be your favorite books, if you've read them or not, and if you have any other favorite books of 2017 you'd like to share, because we are always looking for another book to read. Thank you, and have a nice day. Bye.